Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our September 28th Best Practice webinar. For those of you who were in attendance at last week's Impact After School conference, you will see some familiar faces on the call today because our guest presenters that for this month's Best Practice webinar is the Oak Ridge team, which we wanted to invite back for this Best Practice webinar because they've really done a phenomenal job of building those partnerships, particularly through this most recent world pandemic that we're experiencing. I would like to, at this point, remind everybody once again, if you've not done so already, please put your name and site into the chat. And if you've not done so, let's go ahead and get yourselves muted. And with that being said, I'm going to be quiet and I will turn it over to the Oak Ridge team today. John, Billy, and Stephen, and I can see somebody else on the screen, but I can't see you well enough to know who it is. Is that Colleen? Yes, okay. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to the four of you to make your introductions, and then just please let me know when and how you'd like me to advance the slide. I will also be monitoring the chat during this call, so if anybody has any questions, please drop those into the chat. And of course, we'll pause for questions at the end of the session as well. So thank you, everybody, and welcome to the Oak Ridge team.
All right. Well, good morning, everyone. My name is John Spinks. I am the project manager here at Oak Ridge Neighborhood Services with the 21st Century Program. And to my right is...
Oh, Billy Stone. I am the education coordinator.
I am Stephen Williams. I am the site coordinator for grades 3 through 5.
Colleen Johnson, site coordinator for kindergarten through 2nd.
Are we coming through clear?
Yeah, Colleen, you were a little bit faint, so just maybe keep that in mind for any future discussions that you have, okay?
Okay. So do you want us to start with the presentation now, Crystal? Okay. So again, good morning. Thank you for having us. I want to talk a little bit about building stronger programs through community partners. Before we get into our PowerPoint, I want to talk a little bit about who we are. Oak Ridge Neighborhood Services is located here in Des Moines, Iowa. We're probably 2 blocks north of center downtown Des Moines. We are a subsidized housing complex with a number of different components. We have our own maintenance department. We have our own security department. We have our youth program. We have adult and family services that really focuses a lot on engaging the families as a whole. And with the youth department, we manage the 21st Century Program. But here at Oak Ridge Neighborhood Services, we sit on 17 acres. We have over 300 units. We also have a housing complex called Silver Oaks for senior citizens age 55 and older. We also have underneath the Oak Ridge umbrella a child care department, which is called Oak Academy 1 and Oak Academy 2. So we are really a full service housing complex. We have 26 different languages because the majority of our residents are from other countries. English is not their primary language, so we work very closely with adult and family to get those services that family needs, such as they can work on getting their citizenship, they can work on learning English. We have a driver's ed card that they can work on learning how to drive to increase their mobility for employment purposes. They can do resumes. We do job search. So we do a lot of different things here. So I want everyone to know that, yes, we are subsidized housing, but we do so much more to engage not only our youth, but the families as well. Part of what has made our program successful throughout, and especially with adding 21st Century, is the ability to go out and connect with community partners And Vic always says, think about sustainability, sustainability, sustainability. And so by creating these partnerships, it has allowed us to do that. Oak Ridge has always, well, don't want to say always, but for a long period of time had youth programming. With the addition of 21st Century, it allowed us to serve more youth and do a lot more creative things. Des Moines Public School is also a big partner of ours, and Billy will talk about that collaboration. One of the things that's unique about Oak Ridge and 21st Century that we are a community-based organization that wrote for this grant, with Des Moines Public School being a partner. We serve primarily 3 different schools that we call feeders. Edmonds, our elementary school, Callanan is our middle school, and Roosevelt is our high school. At this point, with our second grant, we are serving grades K through 12. So with that being said, I want to turn it over to Billy because the educational component is very key in what we do. And I want her to share with you all how partnerships work and the importance of having good partners to meet the academic needs of our young people. Billy?
Thank you, John. I'm Billy Stone, as John said. We work so close with our Des Moines Public Schools district. And with that, we talk about student grades, student behaviors, discipline. And also we talk about the core curriculum. What are the objectives our young people are working on? How can we help the school with our students be more successful in the classroom? We also work with not just the principals or the counselors, but also we work with the local agencies to talk about what are some of the core objectives. And we really delve into those. Mr. Vernon Johnson back here, he does a lot of the report card guidance. And what we do is we look through those report cards, we see who's failing, who's not failing, who's above or below certain literacies or math. And then what we do is we work with the school teachers within the building and we ask them for some of their expertise as far as how are they teaching within the classroom. And then we don't mirror what they're doing as far as the paperwork and things. I like to say this, we put on a production for students so those students can become engaged. We also use retirees. A lot of those people are senior citizens like myself, and they know exactly what kinds of activities our young people need to learn in order to be successful. We also use, you can do that slide, please, thank you. We also use not only retirees, we use college students, we use students who are, what do I want to say? Your scholar students to come in and do some reading with our students and that whole gamut. And you're probably saying, well, what does that have to do with partnerships? And what does that have to do with building success in the classroom? Well, it has a lot to do with it because it's like we are constantly reinforcing what the district and what the state guidelines are for our students to be very successful in the classroom. We also look at the core curriculum. So that means that we have to have a good relationship with the Department of Education, with districts outside of Des Moines, also with colleges, not just Drake, Central, Grandview, Simpson, and those folks. We look at, Central College of Philip. We look at what those youth, those students, those college students are being taught. And then we look at what we do and what the school does to reinforce some of the teachings that our young people are doing. And I said earlier, we just don't do pencil paper stuff. We put on a production and that gets our students totally engaged. And then what happens is, like John had said earlier, we are a community-based program. We have lots of folks who look at us and say, wow, how can I be a part of that? And then John and Fern and a few of our other folks, our high school, middle school staff, they go out and they look at the ballets, you know, how is the ballet a part of education? Well, they're following directions. They're listening to music. They're trying to work on their social and emotional skills, so they're not into a panic sort of activity. And remember, we always use certified teachers. Des Moines Public is our key, as well as our college folks. And also, I'm gonna be honest with you, everyone out there, we all love children. We want to make sure our children are successful. And we will do anything possible that's positive that'll help students become engaged. And when people see us, they see us in a manner that, whoa, how can I be a part of that organization? So people come to us and we go to them. Okay, I hope that's answering some of your questions. How did we achieve? We achieved this communication. We are constantly talking. And the report card piece is really important. So that's how come we really have to collab a lot with folks. Does that make sense to you guys? Up, thumbs down. Okay, and SEL, social and emotional, is really important.
As soon as this Zoom is over.
I'm sorry.
Oh.
Okay, social and emotional is really important. We have the academics put together, seriously, and we veered toward bringing academics really to the forefront and having our students be successful. And we kind of turned off the civility piece of the paper. And I think this is why we have social and emotional learning now. We focus so hard on the academics where we left off, how do you feel? How do you feel about yourself? Self-awareness, self-management, and that whole kind of process. Now what we're doing is we're merging all those back together. And with that, we work directly with the DMPS, worked with Central College, and a myriad of other organizations that's going to help us, what's the word I want to use? Ferment, provide a real good partnership with social and emotional learning. I think that's it. Now to my right, should I go ahead and do this?
Yeah.
To my right is Mr. Stephen and Miss Colleen, who are phenomenal with the enrichment, health, and safety parts of our partnership and our programming.
Hi, good morning, everybody. Once again, I'm Stephen Williams. I'm the site coordinator for grades 3 through 5. And to my right here is Colleen Johnson. She is the site coordinator for grades kindergarten and through 2nd grade. Today, she would like to start by giving you, I'm sorry, Crystal, can I have you skip to our next slide? One more, please. One more slide. It's going to say enrichment, health, and safety. There we go. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Teamwork. Okay. Colleen and I are going to touch on health and safety, enrichment, creative arts, sports, and higher education, and how partnerships with different agencies have played into how we've been able to build our program.
Good morning, Colleen Johnson. Can you hear me okay? So I want to talk about the food part of our program. Food is probably the most important part with dealing with kids because we all know that everyone likes to eat, including myself. I want to talk about some of the partners that we deal with. I think the biggest one that we've dealt with is the CACFP program, which is a federally recognized program, federally funded program, excuse me. And they focused on nutrition, nutrition. I'm lost for words.
Providing healthy snacks.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, I'm sorry. So we've dealt with them a long time, and yeah, I'm so sorry. We also deal with Come and Go, who is donating different items, which also helps with our snack program because we provide daily snacks for the kids. And occasionally we do hot meals. We also work with Des Moines Public Schools. We are a host site for Des Moines Public Schools in the summertime, which provides our lunch and breakfast.
We also partner with the Food Bank of Iowa to provide food at a discounted cost, which really helps us extend our budget when it comes to providing snacks, not only during the school week, but also kids are able to take some food home for the weekends.
And then we also have Chick-fil-A, who started working with us during the pandemic and has continued to do so. They come out once a month and bring out 700,
400 sandwiches.
And then Stephen,
All right, so that was, our food program is really, at one point was the basis of our program. That was how we built our numbers in the very beginning. Get them in, get them fed, and then you can begin the process of your enrichment activities, trying to teach them and have them. And one of our biggest early partners, this is, and I'm talking even before 21st Century came into play, we're our faith-based organizations. I don't care the size or scope of the community in which you serve, from the biggest city to the smallest town, you've got a faith-based organization. And those are made up of people of the community. So you'll find your parents in those same organizations, and those are the folks who you will be able to find where you'll be able to find most of your volunteers. We started with two main churches. One is St. John's Catholic, who would come twice a week and provide reading to our kindergarten and second graders. And more than that, those volunteers were building relationships with our kids, to the point where our kids don't know where their shoes are sometimes, but I guarantee you on Wednesday, they know that they've got a reading buddy coming in to sit with them, spend time with them, share a book, and just have a conversation. And so that was another one of our large sort of bedrock partnerships that we built early on into our program. Now, moving on, our Girl Scouts of America has been another one that we've leaned on, whether it be selling cookies or getting our girls out to do a day at their boom camp. That has really been a revitalization and something that our young ladies have really been able to hang their hat on. And it's something that really empowers them. Sports, our sports programs is something that we have used since the very beginning. There's a gentleman by the name of Gerald Joseph, who was an Oak Ridge, a youth program employee for upwards of 20 years. And that was one of the things that he focused on and cultivated the most, because he knew just the draw that it brought from our kids. Sports is, and I think has always been, a great buy-in for the kids. if you want to be able to go to football practice, or you want to be able to do basketball, we encourage you to try some of our other programs as well. You've got to be doing what you're supposed to be doing in school. And so that's really been able to sort of holistically add to the value that our program provides to children. Sometimes, although they don't even know it.
Yeah, and so I would like to add to, to that whole enrichment piece and using athletics and sports. So we cover two different areas there. Number one, it encourages the kids to be involved with activities that keeps them healthy, keeps them in something that's organized. But I think the other thing too, it teaches them how to build relationships. It teaches them how to deal with conflict, because anyone who has participated in sports, whether it be organized sports or anything else, there's going to be some conflict. But teaching our young people how to navigate when there is an issue, to do that. I also want to take, when we talk about this health piece, and the partnerships that we deal with that. We've worked with 3 organizations. And actually coming up, starting tomorrow, Thursday and Friday, we've got an eye clinic that's going on here that's going to be free to any of the families. And it's not just for families here on our campus, but people can come in, get their eyes checked. And so it's going to really knock us out of our space for 3 days, so they can set up this equipment. They've got a truckload of equipment coming in tomorrow, so they can set up and do this eye clinic. But we've also built a relationship with Unity Point Health, where they've come in and worked with us on setting up vaccine clinics for COVID. We've also established a relationship with Des Moines University, where young people, we can bus them to a high school and they get free back to school physicals. And then most importantly, Mercy College, and I think Billy talked about this earlier, but they are a part of our weekly programming where they come and they focus on making healthy choices, building relationships, anything from personal hygiene, the whole 9 yards. And one of the other things that we are getting ready to start with Mercy College on is setting up a mom support group. Part of what we deal with here is a lot of our families don't have a primary health home. They don't have a primary doctor. So normally if something happens, what do? They go to the emergency room. What we're trying to do right now is get them to think ahead, establish a health home, try and figure out, if you are an expecting mom or you've got little ones, working with Mercy College, where I think it's OBGYN, people are going to come in and they'll be able to work with moms on taking care of their kids. If there's a pregnancy going on, what they need to do to make sure that there's a healthy pregnancy. And I know I kind of took over from Stephen, but I wanted to make sure that when we hit that health piece, that we let you guys know that these are some of the things that we're doing, because it really is important to make sure that not only our youth, but our families are healthy and they are safe.
Can I say something to support our team too? Enrichment, health and safety, please make sure you understand, in my mind, that all this also embraces the educational piece, the social and emotional piece. So we no longer are operating in a little vat. We are taking everything and putting them together, because in our sports, in our enrichment program, we have to learn to be cooperative, self-management, self-awareness, building relationship, as John and Steve and Colleen has so adamantly said. So you don't look at these pieces in isolation. You look at them totally. And I think that's what helps build our partnerships as well.
And so moving on to, to sum it up, we've got our health and safety. Our kids are fed and they're well taken care of. They're active and healthy moving through through our sports collaborations. And I just wanted to just stop and just highlight a few of those. Your local YMCA. Those are great places, organizations that are always running sports leagues. And from time to time, you will find that they need help filling rosters, help with just different things that go along with running those leagues. And those will be great partners to partner with. Parks and Recs, Des Moines Parks and Rec. We've from swimming in the summertime to getting kids swimming lessons, to partnering with some of their art programs in the summertime at various parks. Those are good free ways to partner with local community and government agencies. It was about 2015, and we're heavy into the flow of our stage of programming that we're in now. And we looked around and we noticed that everybody was doing good. We had a large number of kids that, although they attended every day, they weren't necessarily engaged to their full potential. And that was around the time that STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, transformed into what we now call STEAM. That is with the addition of the arts, and more specifically for us, it manifested itself in the form of acting. So we hired a success navigator whose focus was almost exclusively with our creative arts piece. And we were able to bring in a woman by the name of Tiffany, or partner with a woman by the name of Tiffany Johnson and Pyramid Theater. And they were able to, on a weekly basis, meet with our kids, and they went through many of the technical forms of creative arts, whether that be writing scripts, whether that's the acting itself and tapping into your emotions, whether that's set design, the costumes and all of the things that go with that, to a culminating point where our students made a music video. Success is My Protest. It's on YouTube. I suggest everybody go check it out. One thing that I would also like to touch on is we recently had partnered with a gentleman by the name of Jordan Weber, who worked with our kids to paint a mural of one of our former students, Yor Jane. And that was a real community effort. And there were many, many hands that came together to put that together. Our students were able to paint sections of the court, and to really let them, have a feeling as though they were, that was their project, that this is their home. They've had a hand in taking something that was very unfortunate and turning it into something very beautiful. And lastly, I will sort of touch on some of our higher education partnerships. As Billy alluded to earlier, institutions of higher learning, almost everybody's got a teaching program. You've got students there who want to gain experience working with the youth that in the age group that they will hopefully eventually grow to teach or work with in some capacity. So that being Central College, Drake University, Grandview, have all sent tutors to us that we've been able to partner with our youth and fit into our program. And so many of these relationships are symbiotic. But one thing I also want to touch on is that we've done a good job being vigilant as to when it's time to bring an organization in, or if we're deciding to bring an organization in, does that organization fit with what we're already doing? If you've got to change your program, how you operate to fit something that may sound very good, it may not always be the best option for you in the long run. And sometimes you have to get very direct and ask some of these organizations what it is that they're looking for. Find out how that organization benefits from partnering with you. And that will also go a long way as you begin to build your partner list.
Very well said, Stephen. And I'm glad Stephen said that last part. But I also want to say to the audience, you know, we, Oak Ridge is very blessed and fortunate because of where we're located. I know there's a lot of times when we do these webinars and we do the Zoom meetings, that there's a lot of our partners that live in rural areas that don't have access to all of the things that we're talking about. At the conference last week, I did bring a handout with all of the partners that we have worked with and are currently working with. And Crystal, I will send an email so you can share that. And hopefully what will happen is anyone can look at that and see if there is something closely related, you know, especially when we talk about, I had a young person that came to me at the end of our workshop on Friday and says, you know, we're looking for mentors. Well, we work, number one, with the institutions. I'm a part of a fraternity. So there's always different groups out there. We work with the Rotary, we work with the Lions Club, we work with local high schools to find mentors, you know, working with the colleges and things like that. So we understand that you may not have access to all of the goodies that we have here. But number one, as Stephen said, I think every community has a church, and those church have members. And normally people are willing to step up to the plate to provide whatever it is that they can. You know, transportation is a big issue. I think every church may or may not have a van, but I'm going to send this list to Crystal and then she can post it. A lot of the things that we've talked about as far as success, protest my success, we got a lot of that stuff posted on our websites, and we can send those links as well. So you can take a look at that, and please feel free to reach out to us. One of the other things that's really been key for us in building our partnership list is being able to reach out to the community as a whole. We haven't always had the best website, but we've been able to bring chief officer on board, communication officer on board to help upgrade our website, Oak Ridge website, but also using social media as a means of getting our programs, information out there, people being able to reach out to us and let us know that they're willing to help. And so I've got Chris Irvine here, who presented with us. And so I want her to share with you a little bit how we use our website, how we use our social media to pull people in, to share the good stuff that's going on, and then help increase your partnership.
Okay. All right. Good morning. Hi. Thank you so much for having us. Yeah, I just wanted to touch on one additional point that I think is really valuable to those that we partner with. And that is that we really work hard to utilize our communications channels to help support and build these partnerships by providing recognition to those that have partnered with us. It also is a great opportunity to thank them. And in addition, to showcase the community partners that are engaging with us so that others in the community may be inspired to do the same. So we target our key audiences with messaging to share those good works. Our key audiences being everyone from our internal audiences, such as our employees, our board, our residents, and then our external audiences and the media, those that have expressed interest in what's going on at Oak Ridge. We do that through multiple channels. we're lucky enough to have a pretty robust communications package here. But you know, everyone's are different, and I would just encourage you to utilize what channels you might have. We utilize our social media, so LinkedIn, our Facebook, our Instagram, our Twitter, YouTube, to share out these good works of our community partners in partnership with Oak Ridge. We do media relations, so we might pitch something to the media. For example, we've got a partnership with the Des Moines Ballet and our youth department. They're going to be here on Monday, and we've got the Des Moines Register coming and a photographer to cover that outreach and collaboration. We might also send out a press release. So if we get a grant, for example, from a partner that is funding something related to our youth department, we might send out a news release related to that. So again, that they're getting some exposure for the good works that they're doing in the community. Advertising is another tool we use. If we have partners that have really stepped up and supported an event, for example, we might do a thank you ad related to that. And then newsletters. We do newsletters to our external audiences as well as our residents and our own employee team. And we'll share those messages in that as well. You can go to the next slide. Thank you. Again, what we're trying to do there is highlight that community partner participation and showcase the ways that they've contributed back to our team, be it financially, be it through grants. They may contribute their time or their materials. They may contribute a workshop, those kinds of things. So we like to, again, share that word out in the community. Just have a few examples here of ways that we've done that. But we think it really is a value add for them. It's a chance for us to give them thanks for their efforts with our youth team. And also, as I mentioned earlier, maybe light a fire under others in the community that might be thinking about getting involved with Oak Ridge and are inspired by seeing that others have as well. So again, I would just encourage you not to forget the communications component as you are forging your partnerships on how you can utilize that to strengthen those efforts. That's it.
Well, good. Thank you. Thank you. And I know we are getting close to the end of this presentation, but I want to go back a little bit. When we initially got our first grant in 2015, we started with 10 partners. And the slideshow says now we're up to 53, that's actually 57. Building these partnerships have really helped us expand our program, long-term relationships. But I think one of the key things that I wanted to share, I went through, and as a requirement, we had to assess a dollar value to our partnerships. And as I went through our list, as you can see, with goods and services, since 2015 till now, partnerships have contributed $504,205 in goods and services. That's a lot of cash. And I think one of the things, and I'm gonna hats off to Vic, because there's been a lot of times I've called him, and I would encourage everyone that if you've got an idea or you've got a question about it, reach out to him. You know, reach out to Crystal. Great resources there, but definitely use Vic, you know, on that, because he is a wealth of knowledge and he can do things. But if you take a look at that dollar amount, that's larger than, I would say, probably 90% of the budgets that programs are dealing with right now. But the key thing is, if our money ended today, we would still be able to run a successful after-school program, because we've got great partnerships who bring goods and services to help us serve the kids. And, you know, Vic and I talked a little bit on Friday, and he's like, doing what's best for the kids. Finding great partners, forging those relationships helps you do great things for the kids. And so with that, I want to leave some room, leave some time for a question and answer session.
Yeah, thank you, John, Christine, Billy, Vernon, Colleen, and Stephen. And I hope I didn't miss anybody. Thanks for that. Folks, feel free to unmute and ask your question, or again, you can drop something into the chat. I do want to give you a shout out from the chat. This is from Cassie in Burlington. She says, thank you, Oak Ridge, for this presentation. The health piece is really interesting to her. She's going to follow up with you about that one. And your partner, she also makes the comment that your partnerships are so varied and good for the students. And then Christine from Storm Lake just gave you a shout out too. She says, great job, you guys rock. So that's nice there. All right, other questions? Again, feel free.
I have a question. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I do have a question. So about when you were talking about partnerships and that, I'm wondering how you're funded on the personnel costs of your organization. So if you don't have the 21st century, how would you be able to do that from a personnel perspective?
Yeah. So what we do right now is we have a number of grants. And just to give you an example, we just received a grant to deal with social emotional learning from New York Life. We are great partners with United Way of Central Iowa, who have found ways to find funding for us to help bring on personnel. And then we have our operating budget from fundraisers and things like that, that we're able to pay for salaries. One of the things, and I'm glad you bring that up, because with 21st Century, we've got X number of people whose salaries are dedicated to 21st Century. But the other part that we bring on board with our site navigators, we take that money from United Way to hire people so they can be a support not only to the teachers in the classroom, but it also helps us have full-time staff. And we all struggle with part-time people, and so because of the partnership, it has allowed us to bring people on and keep them. And I want to say this, when a lot of programs had to shut down during the pandemic, we didn't shut down. We continued to work. And because we continue to provide those services to our youth and families, organizations came to us and provided us additional funding. We were able to update our internet services because we were doing the virtual and our system was overloaded, but we were able to update that. We were able to get additional computer equipment to help serve those students. And in addition, rather than laying people off, we were able to extend hours because we were here 10 hours a day. And we did that for probably 6-7 months. And it was brutal, but we felt it was really important that we were here for those students who were having to work virtually because they needed the support. But United Way has been a great partner with us. Iowa Workforce Development has been a great partner for us. Bank of America, Bankers Trust. So there are lots of groups out there that have money specifically to meet certain needs. And so I would say that you can look at different institutions and see what their mission and goal is when they're doing grants, which will help you apply for some of those grants.
My second question is about, you said that you hire all certified teachers. Is that who does your programming for the after-school program? And then I was just curious what you might pay them if you have a salary range.
Yes, yes. Our goal is to hire certified teachers. Truly, we would like to hire teachers from the schools where our kids are. That doesn't always work out, but we do hire certified teachers, and we try and do a team concept with that. If we can hire a couple of teachers to work the hours to make sure that our program is consistent, we do that. And then we have some teachers that want to work 4 days a week. we try and provide a competitive rate. We pay $30 an hour for teachers to do that. So did I answer your question for you?
Yeah, that was helpful. Thank you. And you're in the Des Moines area, right?
Yes, yes, we are in Des Moines. Yes.
All right. Thank you. Any other questions for the Oak Ridge team today? Okay, so folks, I will be posting this recording to our 21st Century website, so that'll be up later. John, if you can get me that partners list, I'll combine it with the resources for today's call. And with that being said, I just want to say thank you to the Oak Ridge team. This was a really great presentation. Appreciate your willingness to do this at Impact and then again, do it for this particular group. Again, community partnerships are so important, and that's part of the reason you are also the community partnership recipient of a STAR Award this year too. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and stop recording and I'll end the call, and I will wish everyone a great afternoon.